Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Psycho, and I've got another Walking Dead video for you all today, and this one is going to be over the topic of Negan's kill has to be brutal. Basically, in this video, I'm just going to be talking about why brutality is needed for this kill to happen, and for this scene to be iconic. It's something that we've always had within the show, and I feel like it's very important to keep having that within the show and keep pushing those boundaries and limits with TV censorship. This is honestly one of the biggest reasons of why I love this show. In addition to the characters and storylines and many other things, they push the limits to the max. I've always enjoyed violent and gory movies and TV shows like Friday the 13th and many other shows that have a lot of gore and horror. So coming from that, having that in The Walking Dead is a big plus. Now, it's also not all about the gore and just having some shock factor. It's also about presenting impact on the audience and putting yourself in the people around that person getting killed's position. In the past of The Walking Dead, there were a few violent moments that I do want to mention that had a lot of impact for me as an audience member. One of these specifically was the No Sanctuary Terminus slaughter scene. This is, up to date, my favorite scene from the whole series. I know there's a lot of other fantastic scenes, but this one just struck me in the perfect way, and I just love the whole premise about it. They did a great job at setting up the environment and all of the sound effects in the background, but what really had the shocking factor was the brutality of the situation. The people at Terminus were individuals that were guiding innocent victims into what they think is a sanctuary in which there's actually not, and they're guiding them into a trap and slaughtering them like cattle. The fact that they knocked them out and then slit their throat to drain their blood over a trough, the idea behind that and the visualization is just so brutal, but I loved it. I still remembered my feelings after that episode, and I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning just thinking about that scene. Not because it really scared me or anything, but just how absolutely crazy it was, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it. And this was way before I even did YouTube with The Walking Dead, so I didn't even have anything to do after I watched the episode, and I was still just thinking about it and looking up other reviews and people's thoughts upon that. The throat slit scene was so brutal, and that's why I want to emphasize why Negan's kill has to be brutal. Of course, not showing the throat be directly slit, just showing the person's face as he jerks the knife back, that would still have some impact, but just showing it outright like that had the most impact and the most possible impact, I think, in my opinion. So transitioning that over and connecting it to the Negan scene, for Negan to kill someone with Lucille, I feel like it is just required to show that head at least getting bashed in some and showing everything. You can't just show Negan slamming down the bat and then we see the result of it. I feel like we need to see the head being crushed, and we just need to see that person just being demolished, because that is what the characters are going to be seeing, and the producer's goal of this is to put us in the character's position, so the best way to do that is to show us exactly what they're seeing and not censor anything. Now, this would absolutely be pushing the limits of TV censorship, but if they can get it past that, this would be insane, and I would be very satisfied. That's one of the reasons why it's so iconic in the comic book. You see the eyeballs falling out of the person, you see all of the blood and gore and guts, and I feel like they have to transition it over to TV like that and show us all of that brutality. Just like with the Jessie and Rick situation where Rick cuts her arm off, if they hadn't have showed that, there would be less of an impact. So showing us that gave us a lot of impact, and it showed the real brutality of the situation. Even the Hershel scene when the governor killed Hershel, of course the initial impact with the sword was impactful, and that was brutal, but something that really struck me after that, and I feel like it's something that's overlooked a lot when it comes to this scene, and that is where it shows the governor chopping his head over and over completely off on the ground, and then it shows a blurred view of Hershel and his head severed from his body. Even though all of that brutality wasn't shown, for some reason that scene struck me a different way, where it was just like so shocking, and I think it was kind of better that they didn't just outright show his head not blurred or anything. The blur kind of that time added effect where it didn't feel like censorship, it just felt like a scene was being shot creatively. That just struck me in a way that was pretty impactful, and even though it was censored, I hope the Negan kill isn't censored like that. I would love to see the full brutality of the situation, and a lot of people may say, oh, this is just gore porn, but this is reality. In a zombie apocalypse, you're going to come across people that are very sick individuals. These walkers aren't just going to say, oh, I'm not going to tear your stomach and insides open just because this is on TV. They're not going to do that. They're going to do what happens in the real world. Just to bring one more brutal situation into the mix, this was a moment when Daryl was with the claimers, and the guy claims that Daryl stole his half of the rabbit or something like that. I can't remember completely, but he accuses Daryl of stealing his things, and Daryl actually did not do that. Of course, Joe knows the whole time, and then he sends the rest of his group to go and beat up and kill the guy. You hear the guy getting beaten, but the next morning, I think, Daryl comes outside, looks over off of the concrete, and sees the guy with a bunch of crossbow bullets shot into him and his face beaten in. For some reason, I found this scene very impactful as well, and I think a lot of people forget about this scene, but I always remember it just because of the way that was shot. The scene was kind of blunt, where it just showed the corpse plainly on the ground, and it was just kind of a gruesome scene because you see his face beaten in, you see all of the crossbow bolts shot into him, and his body's just tossed out on the ground like he's nothing. Now, of course, you could say some of these scenes could have been shot more brutal, where it shows all of these beatings and the crossbows being shot into him, but I felt like these were shot creatively, where I don't mind them not showing it because it had a lot of shock value in the end there. But I feel with Negan's kill, we have to see that brutality happening because this is the biggest kill in Walking Dead history. Overall, these are just my thoughts and opinions. I do believe this iconic scene has to be delivered in a hugely impactful way with brutality and everything along with it. I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comment sections below. I believe the majority of people would agree with me, but I would also like to hear what you all have to say and some other ideas and opinions going on there. I really appreciate you all watching once again. It always means an absolute ton. Please make sure to leave a like on this video to show some support. That helps out a ton as well. Thanks again, guys. Peace out.